Hello, this is AgostoAllElite podcast on this Saturday. Today, unfortunately, no one's going to be joining me today. He left. Let's move on. We're going to be covering AEW joining Warner Bros. Discovery streaming service, a sponsored match for WrestleMania 39, Bryan Danielson on Vince McMahon asking about AEW in 2020, and much more. We'll be talking about WrestleMania favorite moment, my favorite moments at WrestleMania, and a lot to cover. So stay tuned for AgostoAllElite podcast. All right, let's go start with the Raw recap. Let's open the segment. Seth Rollins vs. Chad Gable. The post-Rumble Raw opened with a video recapping the events of the pay-per-view. Port Rose came out to a big pop. Then we had fans chanting, "You deserve it," in his name, and "You deserve it." You already saw Raw. Everyone saw Raw. So the American Nightmare talked about the journey that he had throughout his career, including leaving WWE. He talks about the ups and downs, and he says it's been worth it. When he finished up, the Judgment Day music hit. Priest, Balor, Dominic came out to taunt him. So the promo for Rose was good, but the stuff with Judgment Day came after was kind of killed the momentum. So Edge came out and attacked everyone on stage. Rose joined the fight, took down Balor. The show went on to break. So here we go. The first match of the night was Elimination Chamber qualifying bout between Rollins and Gable. As usual, Otis was at ringside to support his Alpha Academy teammate. Both of these men had a sense of technical ability, so we knew this would find a counter as soon as they hit the ring. They did a bit of everything in this bout. We saw ground submissions, high-flying moves, a lot of strikes, a few slams, suplexes. This was like the sample of the Pack of Wrestling match. Gable got in more offense than expected and had counters for all of Rollins' biggest moves until he found himself being spiked with a pedigree to give the Visionary the win. This was an outstanding match that left a lot of room to grow if they've ever faced each other again. So, yeah, it was an outstanding match. I hope they face each other again. And they'll probably get better from here, something by here. Yeah. Alright, here we go. Candice LeRae versus Io Sky. Mia Min accompanied Candice LeRae to the ring for her match against German Control's Io Sky to help her even the odds against Bayley and Dakota Kai ringside. These two know each other very well after having several matches over the past few years, so they used to know trying to feed each other out. There were some slow moments, but most part this was an energetic contest that showed off the skills of both competitors. There were some shenanigans outside the ring with Bayley that led to Sky scoring the win. The finish was a bit of controversial, but nice to see Sky get the win because it felt like Giant Control lost too often. So yeah, it was mostly like that. So yeah, it is basically like that, Alright, Baron Corbin versus Johnny Gargano. Rhea Ripley developed a promo. Sarah chose Charlotte Flair and her opponent for WrestleMania 39 title shot. She earned by winning the Women's Rumble. The next match was another qualifier for the Elimination Chamber. Johnny Gargano took down Baron Corbin. JBL and Dexter Lumis were both at ringside for one. Both men played their strengths. Corbin focused on power moves, while Johnny Wrestling tried to use his speed and agility to stay out of the reach. One former King of the Ring upper hand kept up several minutes by keeping Gargano around as much as possible. It took a slingshot spear of nowhere on NXT champion being his comeback. So Gargano was able to pull the victory by countering the end of days. Cradle, he had little help. The woman was taking care of Jambo at ringside. Mostly a clean match. So that was a great match. Good matchup between Gargano and Corbin. So it was pretty much a great match, I don't know why we bother. It's, it is what it is, Alright, the VMP Lounge and Rick Booth versus Miz. So, MVP was in the ring for the first edition of VIP Lounge in 2023. He gave the usual intro before bringing out Austin Theory. Yes, the crowd booed him quite loudly as he tried to speak. It was a kind of awkward exchange, both men trying to get a few good lines in. Lashley eventually showed up. Theory was able to avoid the spear while pulling MVP into his path. The United States champion was still running his mouth and he walked away. This segment honestly accomplished the goal of keeping Theory Lashley feud going, but that's about it. And honestly, it's that good. The feud is pretty okay. So let's go to the next match. And again, the Lashley Theory feud, it was not about it. Next match, we saw The Miz take out a man who returned from months hiatus, Rick Boogs. The A-lister complaining about being in a suit and not being prepared. WWE official Adam Pearce made him work anyway. So, yeah. Boogs was doing a lot of air guitar drums during his entrance in the match. Was able to easily overpower his opponent. He powered The Miz up for a military press to a big slam for the win. This was barely a contest, but it was supposed to be anything more than a quick reduction to Boogs, so it worked fine on the level. And, yeah. Boston Reed versus Dolph Ziggler. Bayley was out for Rumble to talk about how she and Dan Control took out Becky Lynch last week during the women's Rumble match. The man came out to confront about being a coward. Lynch wanted to have the cage match next week. When Bayley said no, the man brought out Dakota Kai with a chair wrapped around her ankles. She threatened to hit her fit until the role model read in the match. So Lynch told her to check on Io Sky to end the segment. The next match the segment was okay. We're going to get a women's cage match next week on Monday, so, yeah. So, okay, the next match was a third-man elimination chamber qualifier with Ziggler and Bronson Reed to fight. It was Bronson Reed versus Ziggler. Okay, yeah. It was basically Ziggler Reed fighting for a spot, you know. The show-up was a veteran here, so he was able to combat Reed's size and time, but he could only avoid the big man for so long. After a short exchange, Reed hit his splash from a turnbuckle to get the win. So, yeah, this was much quicker than expected, but it made Reed look good by being a former world champion so quickly. So, Reed looks very good. Yeah, Reed's a little big. Yeah, that's Reed's choice. He wanted to be a star, so, yeah, it's what it is. I don't know. Okay. Finn Balor versus Cody Rhodes. Let's go to that. The main event of the night. It was set up early in the evening during the Rhodes promo opening the show. This was the first time he and Balor had been in the same ring in a singles match. So the men's Rumble winner has sights set on the world title, but the Irishman out to prove he is better than Rhodes, so he views as a golden boy as everything handed to him. They saw it with a simple collar, elbow tie-up, quickly more aggressive as the show went into the first break. Balor put a lot of focus on damaging the same pet that kept Rhodes out of action for several months. The rest of the Judgment Day laughed as Prince stomped on his chest. This was a great match. It would have been better with the rest of the heel getting involved. The friends were on their feet, can't crush a break with just a few minutes left in the match. Edge arrived through the crowd, began fighting Priest and Mysterio. Ripley jumped on the R-rated star until their Phoenix arrived to take her down with a spear. So, yeah. And back in the ring, the American Nightmare avoided the coup de grace for hitting the crossroads 3 times on the road to win the match. So this was an eventful Raw. We had Judgment Day, but the Cody Rhodes versus Finn Balor was a great match. I expected more, so let's get more Finn Balor more often in the main event scene. You see more Finn Balor in the main event scene. And he's great as a heel. So, yeah, it's underrated. His heel work is underrated. Finn Balor, honestly, I'm going to tell you this. Finn Balor's heel work is underrated. No one understood, but he's underrated. He has great heel work. No one never checked Raw because, let's be honest, Raw is shit. This is a Vince McMahon show at heart. Triple H just being Vince's puppet. So, it's what it is. So, alright, let's go to the Dynamite recap. The real wrestling show. We got Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley to start the show. We talk about the rivalry between Moxley and Hangman. So Adam Page wrote his latest chapter to kick off Wednesday's show. So the battle between the former world champions, like they spread on the iron ring, the floor, and go spill into the ring. You know, like Page dominating the action, appeared to have victory in hand multiple occasions. But Moxley, as he had done so many times over the course of his career, fought back from the impressive attack of his opponent. However, Hangman cut his comebacks off and appeared to insult to injury when he applied a bulldog choke to his real rival. Yeah, you know. The 3-time champ countered a hold, trapping Page's leg and scoring the pinfall victory. From an explosive pre-match brawl to incredible physicality, they eschewed once a bell rang. This felt like a grudge match between two guys who would not like each other. But we got the occasional confidence of Constance Page, and the confidence on display by blooded Moxley helped to define the show-stealing element. And people say that blood ruins match wrestling. Yeah, really, that's stupid. Stupid fans. But it was finished when he saw the anti-hero outweigh Wrestler's Page that played out the Blackpool comeback pull-up influence. So the hostile between two competitors suggests that the feud is not over, and honestly, this is a good thing. It's like, given the brief direction between Paige and Claudio Castagnoli, give us a match that we're going back to Hangman and Mox would make for a tremendous stopgap. And it's what it is. It's just something. You just said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The Acclaim in action. Alright, Renee Capet introduced the Bunny and the AEW Women's World Champion, Jamie Hayter, for set up an elimination match for Friday's Rampage for this week's Rampage for Serena to Tapino and Mona while attacking Britt Baker in the parking lot garage. Back in the arena, the Acclaim made quick work of the unnamed enhanced opponents, but the tag champs were quickly interrupted by Austin and Colton Gunn. Back and forth promo gave way to Austin insulting his father, Acclaim manager Billy Gunn, and Golden intercepting any AEW tag team challenge on behalf of Ash Cassidy and Anthony Bowens. So this was definitely an upstick in the personal intensity of Austin, rehearsing his dad's demons, but his fear is yet to strike a nerve. It's too early to revisit the program, and if anything, it almost feels like a step down for the Acclaim. Much of it attributed to the fact that guns were not properly built into the genuine contending duo. Of course, that earns them a little heat because they haven't earned title shot they would not receive. So, yeah, it brings more to this, and yeah, I hope something did come forward. So, the next week is something that'll be different, interesting. So, maybe there's more to the story, this story, and you may understand. So, yeah. Alright, we go to Konosuke Takahashi versus Brian Cage. Backstage, Garcia announced Garcia Guevara got in the match, and Ricky Starks may have to beat Angelo apart. Either of them before he can have a match with Chris Jericho. So, Konosuke Takahashi made an enemy of the Ring of Honor 6-man tag champion Brian Cage a week ago when he came to the aid of Bryan Danielson Wednesday night. He battled the machine in a one-on-one action. The match saw Takahashi on the defense throughout the commercial break as asserted dominance by the way of his unmatched power. The 27-year-old babyface fought back, though the overcoming ferocity of his opponent and the direction of Prince Nana on the floor scored the victory with his trademark jumping knee. The match was further evidence of Takahashi's promise as a future star in AEW. The Japanese competitor proved himself against the top stars. Abilities meshed well with his own ring style, but rarely has seen a fight from underneath a traditional powerhouse like Cage. That and Machine is an uber athlete that could do other things that his size can add to the chemistry. But the match was evidence of Takahashi's ability to adapt his opponent and live up to expectations already remarkably lofty given his age. So, good stuff from both men who are surgically early in 2023. Next we go to Bryan Danielson versus Timothy Thatcher. Danielson had his status as the best technical wrestler in the world challenge as he battled Timothy Thatcher at a catch-as-catch wrestling throwback whose in-ring style is Grizzle as his appearance. The American Drag spent too much about nursing an intellect and damaged arm at Cage Rigo targeted by Thatcher on Wednesday. Even as he fought an opening, Danielson struggled to take advantage thanks to the pain coursed through the limb. With the ability to counter Thatcher on the mat negated by the injury, Danielson turned to his striking arsenal, rocked his opponent with a boost-cut knee for the pinfall victory. This is honestly a gutsy performance by Danielson, who sold the living life out of everything. Thatcher threw him at everything, reinforced the idea that the win he desperately needed in order to continue his quest for an Iron Man match against MJF for the AEW World Championship may not actually come. So that commentary team put Thatcher over as a major threat. There was no such thing as a bad Danielson match, and this next week's contest against Rush will not alter the trend. This will be hard to clipless than he and Thatcher accomplished in a grueling encounter, though. One criticism, this was the second match in a row, and with the knee to the face. AEW coaches producers need to review these finishes to prevent repetition. This is the first time this happened on AgostoAllElite or Rampage. Honestly, yeah. It is something like that. Alright, the TBS Championship, Red Velvet versus Jade Cargill. A win against Red Velvet will earn a TBS Championship. They got Cargill victory, number 50, with defeat spell and the story and beat streak. So, Velvet and Cargill linked each ever since their last first match at AEW. Deliberate physical contest from the start. The champ used their power size. They managed to seize control during the break, but late distracted by Kiera Hogan, let Velvet take over. Missed pump fall by official Aubrey Edwards. Kept Cargill alive, and then unbeaten Ina scored a win off of Jade. Cargill is mostly a star who evolved for our eyes. She has exceeded health and fact that she carries herself like The star AEW sees her as is helping along the way. With that said, it's time for her company to do something different with her. The win streak is great and doesn't have an end, but the formula is growing tired. Change things up, put her on the fence, let her wrestle the match while underneath Vander's employ the same layout we were supposed to for the past year. So no matter how magnetic, charismatic Dargell is, the audience will recognize the sameness. Cut it out before it actually affects someone whose presence will become one of Ada's building blocks of the future. So yeah, it's pretty much that. Do something like new for Jade Cargill. It most likely should. It should happen. Something new for Jade. Like, something new for Jade, you know? Something like that. That was a little bang because of the table thing. So, I'm saying, okay. Main event, no holds bar match for the TNT Championship. Darby Allin versus Samoa Joe. Anyone who asked for a whole no holds bar match with the angry and vengeful Samoa Joe relapse the consequences that happens to after Darby Allin and wins the main event. The face painted Daredevil of AEW endured a tremendous beating as Joe thwarted every attempt at a comeback. Small TNT Championship, punishing him with a fury, aided his strength, overwhelming with his size. When it did not work, he simply out the 30-year-old, dodging his moveset and stuff. And mostly his dives or using his own momentum against him. Ultimately, he drove Allin out the rope and exposed the will of the ring with a muscle buster and the babyface's latest reign as champion. So Samoa Joe's reign celebration was short-lived as Wardlow returned, sported a new haircut, displayed his fury. Samoa Joe escaped relatively unscathed, but Wardlow laid out the security to end the show. This is all sorts of great. So yeah. So here's my opinions. Does AEW overdo blood? Honestly, absolutely. Are the hardcore matches overproduced? Risk stakes amplified too often? Church member wrestle safely? Probably, yeah. Yeah, basically more like that. But in the right hands, though, those contests are hugely effective, and this was the case here right now. Allin outmatched about every way by Joe, relied on his unpredictability and his willingness to endure punishment and damage his opponent. But Joe turning against him, being was simple and effective, and hammered home with the relentlessness of the Samoa submission machine. The pending rematch Wardlow should be a brilliant brawl. Makes way for a solid second-rate title bout for Revolution on March 5th. In that direction, Tony Khan chooses to head in. However, the victory can be heavily for Wardlow, who lost a bit of momentum to beating MJF in Double or Nothing last May and losing to Joe late in 2022. So, all in all, Dynamite was a great episode. So yeah, it's pretty much like that, you know. So let's go to the SmackDown recap. Alright, SmackDown kicked out with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline heading to the ring. Fused to talk about Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, who are not there with them. They headed to the first match of the night shortly after. Braun Strowman, Ricochet defeated Imperium. This was a great match, so this is going to be Strowman and Ricochet challenging for the tag belts. So yeah. Backstage, Charlotte was said that WrestleMania would be epic for hyping up her match with Rhea Ripley. Charlotte developed rolled up since she would take the title away from Charlotte before WrestleMania and face Rhea herself. And it led to the match. Charlotte defeated Sonya Deville to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. The Bloodline was backstage. Reigns asked Jimmy where Jay was. Jimmy said he hasn't heard from him since Rumble. Romans ranted about running away from obligations. Reigns sent Solo and Jimmy to find Jay as SmackDown continued on. So, we go to the Viking Raiders beating the Brawling Brutes. So, yeah. They won the match. The Viking Raiders got their revenge on the Brutes. So, yeah. Following the match, we saw a recap of the pitch black match between Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. After the clip, Uncle Howdy appeared behind Wyatt, put his hands on his shoulder, and later sat on the rocking chair. Yeah. And let's see more to this. Okay. Natalya defeated Shotzi, Zelina, and Shayna Baszler in a four-way match. Yeah. Four-way match. Okay. Backstage, Roman was addressing the Bloodline, said there was a lot of pressure on him at the moment. Said he needed Jimmy and Solo to be stronger in the crisis. Roman sent Jimmy and Solo to the bus before heading to the ring himself to handle some business. Roman Reigns out next. The crowd was chanting Sami Zayn's name. They would answer around and talk about Cody Rhodes decided to answer the crowd himself. He called Sami ungrateful and greedy for a guy in a hood attack, but he attacked him. The mystery attacker turned out to be Sami Zayn. He took Roman down for unloading on him and hit a big spear. Roman managed to flee before Sami got on the mic, saying he never wanted anything from Roman until now. He was coming for the Universal title. Solo and Jimmy showed up, attacked Sami, take him down, set up the chair around his neck in the corner. Roman came back, moved the chair before taunting Sami, blaming him for breaking up his family. Roman said he would face each other in the Elimination Chamber, put the titles on his face before SmackDown went off the air. That main event segment was basically a great segment. It highlighted the Bloodline storyline when it needed to be, and I want to see more Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns. I want to see Sami Zayn at WrestleMania for the AEW, for the Universal Champion or the WWE Champion. I don't want to join Kevin Owens to win the tag belts. I want to see him winning tag belts at WrestleMania. I want to see Sami Zayn challenging Roman for the Universal Championship, like another opportunity at WrestleMania, like for night 2 or night 1. I want to see that. I want to sign it, win the big one. That's the Bloodline story is all about. Sami Zayn. I don't care if Cody wins the WWE Champion. I don't care. The goal is to get both belts off of Roman. Roman Reigns do not need both titles at this point. The Bloodline satisfies his character enough. Both titles are not needed. Thank you. Thank you for my TED Talk on the Bloodline storyline with Sami Zayn, WrestleMania, and when. Alright, let's go to the Rampage recap. Let's see, recap. Alright, we got the Elite versus the Firm Trios title. Let's start the show. Nick Jackson, Cassidy, begin for the team. The Trios Championship, Elite, the Firm. Hardy and Omega squared off, had a nice standard counter, some of their signature moves. Hardy set up for the moonsault when Page took out Omega for him. All Eagle lived up his name. I only care about stealing everybody else's glory. While the match definitely has some double team, triple team moments, it didn't evolve into chaos the way trios matches usually do in AEW. This is where I actually saw people obeying the referee making clean tags for the most part. Like, the match started relatively tame, but increasingly tense as the time went on. Cassidy came close to winning towards the end, but the BTE trigger ultimately put away to give the Elite the win. This was a fun opener in my opinion. Some creative spots, good storytelling. It not being the most memorable trios match, but the crowd definitely loved it. Then we go to Matt Hardy, refusing to break too many rules, but still trying to win for his team. It's a little fun detail of this story. It's not as simple as Matt Hardy trying to sabotage his team because he's unhappy, so there's more to this than meets the eye. So we got Brian Pillman Jr. versus Swerve Strickland. Swerve Pillman were up next, and then a joint exchange to get things going. Both men are quick on their feet, still make every move look good. Suddenly, like, Pillman get the upper hand as show cut to the commercial. Swerve's associate try to get hands on him. Performer varsity blow was too quick for him. However, Swerve's persistence spans allowed him to turn things around a little too quick. He picked apart Pillman's knee. Parker or Burt Dex helped him capitalize on that by taking out Pillman's leg while referee was distracted. This will allow Swerve hit double stop finisher to win. So yeah, this is one of the better matches Pillman had in quite some time. It was over long, but still allowed both men to have some time to shine. Everybody did their job perfectly. Dustin Rhodes saved Pillman from a post-match beatdown, and it was pretty much you want in a matchup. So we got Saraya, Toni Storm versus Renegade Twins. Charlotte Renegades made another appearance at AEW television this week in a tag team match against Saraya and Storm. Despite Robin trying to put up a fight early, Storm and Saraya instantly dominated the match, ended up winning without giving up much offense to the Renegade Twins. This not been a very long time, but was a quite squash run we call accustomed to on Rampage every week. The Renegades weren't able to do much, but survived longer than expected. The winners sprayed taking a big L on each of their fallen opponents at the segment. There's something that doesn't work while Storm being a heel. And here's the thing. Like, she's too likable, it doesn't appear convinced from the mean face. Like, but that's my opinion on that. So we go to the main event. Roosh versus Christopher Daniels. So honestly, the first thing they started doing away with split screen pre-match interview, but they still have Mark Carey says this is like every week. That's a little weird, you know. Like the main event saw Daniels fighting Roosh in a battle of former RH World Champions. The match felt evenly for the most part. Took until a commercial break, each competitor to get a clean advantage. Danielson hit a beautiful suicide dive. Interference from Perseverance allowed Roosh to take control. So as soon as former members of Dark Order got involved, it started to go downhill a bit. They relied a little too much on outside interference, but only made the referee look gullible. A little too gullible. In the following Angel had a late match comeback after avoiding Vance and Joe's attacks, but only fighting the numbers gained so long because it gained too much for him. So Roosh blocked the best moonsault ever with his knees and hit a running dropkick and a quarter score to win. So this was a competitive match, two skilled performers. The antics in the ringside took away from the quality a bit. So yeah, Jose felt like the most consequential manager in AEW. His team doesn't feel like you don't need him anymore. At least he caught Roosh's jacket when he threw it out of the ring. Yeah. Danielson had a great gear. His ring jacket was especially cool this week. Honestly, that's a couple of things. It's fun when opponents have ring gear that looks like they coordinated on a match. Too many people use red and black as the main colors of their gear these days. You know what I'm saying? But then one other thing that I love the most in the main event, there was that slapping a man while cash in your hand was bold move in my opinion. Yeah, bold move, my opinion. So Rampage was a great show. You know, like it was a great show for Rampage, and you got what you need, you got what you wanted. It was a short 1 hour show for Rampage. It was better than SmackDown in retrospect, so yeah. But set this main event segment of SmackDown with the Bloodline, that's a lot better than AEW at this point. So let's agree disagree, you know? Alright, that was the Redcast. Let's do one last before we go to the news, I'm gonna do some favorite WrestleMania moments. Like someone from Twitter, like followers sent me a WrestleMania moment. What's my favorite WrestleMania moment? Well, one of my favorite WrestleMania moments I'm going to talk about right about now. The first one with Stone Cold turning heel and joining force with Vince when he chair-shotted The Rock at WrestleMania X7. It was 17 at the time. There was another WrestleMania moment. Like when Chris Benoit won the World Heavyweight Champion in a triple threat with Shawn, Hunter. It was a great triple threat. Chris Benoit was like the Royal Rumble underdog. He finally won. This quote, like, Odyssey years cultivated to win the world title. It was a great moment for Chris Benoit. One of my moments, like, it was like something you like. More WrestleMania moments. My favorites. That was it. The other one was like, I don't know, maybe it was something about, okay. I did like the bikini contest, some stuff they do, women lingerie. It was Sable, Tori Wilson against two other competitors. I can't remember their names, but it was a favorite moment for me. And I got some hormones kicked in, so yeah. You know, honestly, we don't know how you feel what you do. So yeah, that was my moment. That was one of my WrestleMania favorite moments. So let's get to the wrestling news. Let's just get to the wrestling news. All right, let's get to the wrestling news. Let's start. Samoa Joe, reflecting on WWE's release, says he was considering retirement. So Samoa Joe has spoken about his WWE release in 2021. WWE released Samoa Joe, then brought him back. Samoa Joe is one of the main performers who left the organization after wrestling at the time, and WWE made some changes to the roster. Then after 2 months, he was brought back. So Samoa Joe mentioned his firing for WWE while appearing on a guest on the Cat's podcast sessions. He talked about he was fired for the second time, and the fact that he just wanted to go to retirement at one point. He wasn't pissed at WWE. This was a war between Hunter and Vince. He was understanding, basically, yeah, like, but reality, like, Samoa Joe, like, felt like he said he wanted to retire at one point. And then AEW offered him a lot of money, and he just took the offer and abandoned all his morals. It was a joke by Samoa Joe, but he did sign with AEW or ROH at one point. So, yeah. It's basically like that, so it's what it is. So I don't know what it will be going forward, but yeah, it's wrestling how you feel. It's wrestling how you feel. It's wrestling what it is. So yeah, pretty much like that. So yeah, that's pretty much Samoa Joe wanted to retire at one point. So Alright, Triple H, now the Triple H says this background was great. So, Hunter took over WWE career direction after Vince McMahon 2022 retirement. He still does, or even after Vince McMahon's shock return to the board of directors. So, Vince McMahon's return to WWE after a brief retirement shook the wrestling world, and many assume Triple H might not be a fan of his following the return laws to WWE based on Stephanie McMahon's case to resign. That not seems to be some of the case. While taking on the latest WWE investors calls, Paul Levesque, after highlighting some of WWE's positive numbers on social media, he made a note of saying that Vince being back around has been great. He talked about that having Vince is back. He had incredible insight. He talked about insight. But people hope Vince McMahon remains non-WWE creative since his return. But it's what you can wonder, especially how long that will last. So let's hope it stays longer than that. So we don't know how long it will last. So be worried. All right, next on the card, AEW reportedly considering a streaming service, likely with Warner Bros. Discovery. It appears that AEW will soon. Let me get to that. Okay, AEW will soon be recovering, something like that. Like, basically, alright, here's what it is. AEW reportedly considers a streaming service, again, likely with Warner Bros. Discovery. So it appears AEW will soon be available on the US streaming service, even though through their own platform by licensing the streaming service. Rights to a service, as WWE did with the Peacock for a significant fee. The history of AEW was debuted in 2019 is covered in an article by Bloomberg AEW President Tony Khan. In the article, they note that AEW considered a streaming service, likely to Warner Bros. Discovery. In March, Khan acquired a small but respectable pro wrestling company, Ring of Honor, from Sinclair Broadcast Group, Inc. for an undisclosed sum, adding a new couple of wrestlers, some intellectual property, and extensive live video library. AEW is also considering starting a streaming service, likely through a deal with its broadcast partner, Warner Bros. Discovery, Inc. According to the person filling management thinks, who asked not to be named last year, AEW broke $100 million annual revenue for the first time. The person says, television agreement between AEW and Warner Bros. Discovery allows for broadcast of AEW Dynamite on TBS, Wednesday, and Rampage on TNT on Fridays. YouTube currently hosts AEW Dark, AEW Dark Elevation, traditional pay-per-view view at PR, both for broadcast pay-per-view events in the US. So yeah, AEW is going great. They have a broadcast service with Warner Bros. Discovery on HBO Max. So yeah. And it's pretty much it's going forward. AEW is still strong, and it's pretty much it is what it is. Okay, Bryan Danielson on Vince McMahon called asked by AEW in early 2020. Bryan Danielson says he told Vince McMahon, WWE feels like you're not watching a wrestling show without any wrestling. Speaking to Bloomberg article released Wednesday, Danielson revealed that in early 2020, Vince McMahon called asking, do you see AEW doing better than us? At the time, Danielson on paternity leave used to spend the next 2 weeks at AEW primary for Ryan McMahon. The conclusion of his claim to AEW committed more time to place more value on the craft of fighting in the ring. Trust that WWE primarily typically involves shorter matches, places greater emphasis on longer type segments. Whether you're watching a wrestling show without any wrestling, Daniel said to McMahon about the wrestling product. So yeah, Bryan Danielson had a talk with Vince McMahon about AEW back in 2020. So he talked about understanding the craft of wrestling. They talked, and it's what it is. So yeah, basically, yeah, it's probably more like that. Yeah, it is what it is. Honestly, there's more. Well, honestly, yeah, it is what it is. The last time Daniel Bryan won the WWE was in 21 on SmackDown when he lost to Roman Reigns. Career versus title match. So yeah, it was career versus title. Anyone watched it? Okay. So, okay. You already know his first AEW match took place at Grand Slam in a time limit draw with Kenny Omega that night. So, and what it is, the infrastructure of the match. So, okay, WWE VP confirms brand sponsor match for WrestleMania 39. Another sponsor match similar to the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match at Royal Rumble looks to be taking place at WrestleMania 39. The Hollywood Report published an article Thursday Night Sports review for WrestleMania 39. Currently standing between 14 million. Some of the record for the event soon the interview will come from the brand sponsor match. WWE Senior VP Head of Global Sales Partnerships Craig Stimel spoke with Outlet about the company's plans. I don't want to get too much, but it'll be around a match sponsor of that match. About to bring that to a match. He says, we're going to do things that fit inside of our storyline at WrestleMania 39. It's a feature sponsor. Those event press conference. They talk about having a post-match conference with sponsors here. You have Mountain Dew, Royal Rumble. They're going to have again WrestleMania, as Steinmel said. So we know that Pepsi, Take-Two, Mars, Snickers, and Cinnamon Toast Crunch are signed on to sponsor the event. And Stemma also said that sponsorship revenue for WrestleMania 39 is already 40% higher than it was for WrestleMania 38. They talk about tracking sponsorship and stuff, portfolios, and basically all of that stuff. So we're going to get a Cinnamon Toast Crunch kind of a matchup, so yeah. Brock Lesnar reportedly working both the WWE Elimination Chambers and WrestleMania shows. Brock Lesnar reported set to work both WWE's 2 PLEs, Chamber and WrestleMania. So I don't know how active Brock Lesnar is, like it's basically how active he is. Like basically, yeah. Brock Lesnar. It seemed that Brock Lesnar last year got face off. Yeah, we had done. We don't know it's from Dave Meltzer. We don't know if we should trust his ass, but I don't know. Maybe if Meltzer was more, I don't know, so like this, Meltzer, But I'm excited for Lesnar at Chamber and WrestleMania. So what it is how it goes. Triple H talks about having this back around WWE. Well, it's the same thing. This Triple H loves Vince McMahon. He's not touching creative. Vince is not touching creative. It's good. All good. It's the same thing. A little different, but it's the same thing. The same thing again. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, it's basically like that. And when you know, that's how you do, how you are. So, again, pray that Vince does not take control of WWE's creative. Pray for it. That's what you need to do. Alright, let's go to the last one of the news for the week. The Saturday podcast. RHTV tapings reported set to begin at the end of the month. So on March 22nd, 2022 episode of Dynamite, Tony Khan announced about ROH being buying ROH from Secure Broadcast Group, including brand assets, intellectual property, video library, among others. Since then, ROH had held 3 pay-per-view events, those being Supercard of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, and most recently, Final Battle. However, many fans have been patiently waiting a full return to weekly television for the company. So, per Fightful Select, it now appears that though weekly ROH programming is on the horizon, and Will Washington reportedly heard that TV tapings are set to begin leading up to Supercard of Honor, near 1 year after Tony Khan last year purchased the company. Yeah. Tell have been told that ROH tapings will take place in Orlando, Florida during the last weekend of February. The time we heard back from under Assumption that we on Universal Studios, but regularly filmed dark, as known within the Fightful report. Voices of Wrestling piece reported the ROH TV tapings were set to begin on February 25th, 26th, but now seeing being confirmed. Additionally, Fightful stated that while Voices of Wrestling have been given us kind of available timetable out those 2 dates, the belief that currently those tapings will run up to the upcoming Supercard of Honor pay-per-view set to take place on March 31st. As far as talents and expected feature across these segments and the timings are concerned, Fightful added that several AEW company talents were signed on back as far as last spring with the intention of finding home on ROH programming. So yeah, so AEW's Tony Khan still fighting Orange programming for the TV home. So it has gonna be. Honestly, we don't know and how it was. So this is AgostoAllElite podcast. I'll see y'all next Saturday. Goodbye.